Sometimes when you're adjusting the view range, you can't get exactly what you're looking for all portions of the floor plan. And that's particularly common when you have split level arrangement like what we have here in this exercise file. So remember that we have this mezzanine here. Let me open up the section to kind of show you the different heights that are going on. So we have this mezzanine over here where this furniture and these other items are. We have stairs going down a half level to this lower level. We have this small ante-space over here, which has a few items in it. And then we have these clerestory windows up above. So finding one set of view range settings that will accommodate all of these different levels might be a little bit tricky to achieve. So the solution is to use something called a plan region. And a plan region allows you to create an override in just a small portion of the plan to adjust the view range within that area. So you should certainly start with the view range dialog. So if I go to view range, perhaps there's a setting that gets me close to what I want. That's what I want to try and find first. So if I want to see this anti-space over here, I know that I would have to actually lower the cut plane to get it below that roof. And from previous explorations, we've seen that I'd have to lower it down at least several feet. So I'm going to try lowering the cut plane down to 1 or 300 millimeters and then click apply. Now, when I do that, I'm now getting a correct plan display of this small anti-space over here, but it's had an adverse effect on the mezzanine area. And not only do I not see the clerestory windows here, but I've now only got one window displaying over here. And this light fixture right here is a little bit odd as well. So it definitely helped in one respect, but not so much in another, right? So what if we went the other way? Well, if I raise the cut plane up higher than where it was before, let's say maybe 6 feet or 1800 millimeters, and click apply, well, that restores the original windows that were here. It's now tall enough to get above these clerestory windows. I'm getting everything displayed here in the mezzanine properly, including the light fixtures and so forth over here, but now I'm up above the roof. Now, sometimes this may be the look you're after, and you could stop here, but let's assume that I still wanted to see this anti-space in plan. So what I'll do is I'll decide that this setting I like better than the previous one, so I'll use this as the default for the view range for the overall floor plan. And now I'll customize just this area here with a plan region. So if I go to the View tab, here on the Create panel, I'll click the Plan Views drop-down, and I want to choose Plan Region from that menu. This will give me some draw shapes over here, and I'll use a simple rectangle for this purpose. And what I want to do is zoom in close enough that I can kind of just sneak the corner of the rectangle in here and then do the same thing and get it to surround the roof right there. So there's the shape of my plan region. It does need to be an enclosed shape, and I'll click Finish to complete that shape. When you do that, it will remain selected, and it will have this dashed outline with these control handles on here to modify it. And notice that here on the ribbon, you will now have a view range button, and that view range will apply just to this plan region. So if I click that button, I get a dialog that's very familiar, and now I can lower this cut plane down to 1 or 300 millimeters, click apply, and then OK. And I now have it cutting through that lower portion of the plan only at the cut plane of 1, where the remainder of the plan is cutting at the higher value of 6. Now, I do have the problem of this sconce now, which is actually above the door, displaying kind of in the way of that door. And at this point, I might just have to simply resort to selecting that item and hiding that element in the view. So that's a really simple example of how you can use a plan region to customize the way that a portion of your floor plan displays. Now let me show you one more quick example using a plan region, and that is going to be to control the way that a stair displays. Now, the stair that we have in our simple view range file is only a partial stair, so doesn't really need any customization of the kind that I want to show you. So I'm in a different file here. This one's called Office Building, and I've provided it in imperial units only, but I'm going to show you a little trick you can use if you're working in metric units so that the units really aren't that important for this example. So I've only got the one file provided. Let's zoom in on this stair here at the top of the plan. And as you can see, using the default view range settings, we're cutting through just the lower portion of this switchback stair. Now, it might be desirable to actually cut it around the landing and a little bit higher up. Well, to do that, we might have to move that view range up 2, 3, or more feet, which could be 1,000, 1,100 millimeters, something in that range. And doing so will have an adverse effect on many of the other elements within this view. We'll be cutting above doorways, perhaps, or windows. And so it really isn't going to work out so well. So this is a perfect example of where we could use a plan region instead. So I'll go to the View tab. I'll go to Plan Views and create a plan region. Now, what I'm going to do first is create the plan region around just part of the stair to show you one limitation that you need to be aware of when using a plan region with a stair. So I'm just going to use the rectangle option here, and I'll draw it, and I want to kind of just make it a little larger than the stair. So I'm kind of zooming in right there to see that. But on this side, I didn't actually go all the way to the left. And let me finish that. Now, with the plan region selected, as we've already seen, I can click on this view range button and I can make an adjustment. And I think using about 8 feet might do the trick here. So that would be 2,400 millimeters. If you want millimeters, type 2,400 mm. And when you click into a different field, it will just convert that to the appropriate feet and inches. Now, of course, that number is taller than the top. So I'll use the same number here, 2,400 mm, and then just click somewhere else. Now, when I click apply, we're not going to see anything happen. So let's click OK and investigate why. When it comes to a stair, the entire stair needs to be surrounded by the plan region. Interestingly enough, if this plan region stretched out here, it would start to impact the wall and window geometry. So notice that you're seeing a difference in these walls and the way they behave, but not the stair. So let me undo that, select it, and then stretch it the other way instead. And as long as I completely surround the entire stair, then it will work properly. And notice that now I'm cutting above the landing and showing a little bit of that stair run up above, and it's a much nicer graphic for the floor plan. So I usually like to introduce plan regions to cut my stairs a little bit higher. There really isn't another way to do that without sacrificing too much in your overall floor plan display to try and use that with the normal view range settings. So a plan region is a great way to customize the view range in just a small portion of your floor plans.